Hello everyone, welcome to EKuhipath and welcome back to another class of our daily current affairs. Aji 6 December tarikhe amar important JJ news ahise newspaper hekhini ami loi ahiso. These are the topics that we have taken today. So let's start the class. The first topic today is new species of reed snake discovered in Mizoram. This topic is important for GS paper 3. So এটা নতুন স্পিচিজ স্নেকৰ এটা স্পিচিজ ডিস্কভাৰ কৰিছে মিজোৰামত মিজোৰাম ইউনিভাৰ্চিটিৰ সাইন্টিষ্টসকলে in collaboration with researchers from Russia, Germany, Vietnam. So they have discovered a new species of reed snake from Mizoram. Aru snake species to naam dia goise Calamaria mizoraменsis ramensis. Calamaria mizoraменsis, adding a previously unknown reptile species to India's fauna and correcting a long-standing taxonomic misidentification. So, our India fauna at a new reptile species add hoise, or the long-standing at a taxonomic misidentification at a correct kora hoise boli kwa goise. Finding to international peer-reviewed journal Jews at published that is not that important. Species to amar important hoy jay. Our earlier status jodi ami saw, the specimen collected in 2008 from Mizoram were earlier classified as a widely distributed Southeast Asian reed snake species. So agot eta taxonomic error hoisile juntu agot 2008 ot hetu eta widely distributed Southeast Asia eta reed snake species boli mane classify kora hoisile. Aru etu eta error boli koise due to morphological similarities kisuman ase karone hetu error hoise boli koise. Etia new evidence or mote etia detailed morphological analysis aru DNA sequencing kori pla etu reveal kora goise je ei species to different hoy. Etu eta distinct evolutionary lineage boli koise. Our genetic divergence ase of over 15% from closest relative sufficient to declare a new species. So we can come to the conclusion that it is a new species. We should remember the name. Co-discover hoise. Our significance hoise highlight the underexplored biodiversity of Northeast India. So amar etio underexplored biodiversity ase. Or hekhini ami je aru explore koribo lage aru ami bisari uliabo lage sei bostur khini upor highlight korise. It also reinforces the importance of molecular taxonomy in species identification. So molecular taxonomy ru kiman important hoy hetu reinforce korise species identification or khetron. Jodi ami Calamaria mizoraменsis or jodi ketaman key features ami sai long ketaba ahi jay features belako important hoy jay. Statement based question or ketaba ahi jo ami dekha paum. So I have given this. They are non-venomous, nocturnal and semi-fossorial. Then that is partly burrowing. Habitat jodi ko ami humid forested hills jot thake. Elevation iman dia ase. And found near human settlement including Mizoram University campus also poa goisile. Distribution jodi ami saw kot poa jay etia to ami okol confined in Mizoram bulia paiso kino possible presence thakibo pare Manipur, Nagaland, amar Assamoto aru Bangladeshor Chittagong region oto, but that is still unverified. In ecological and conservation aspects jodi saw IUCN status etia to tentatively accessed as least concern. And herpetofaunal update jodi saw Mizoram now records 169 species of amphibians and reptiles. Hetu aru grassroots biological survey can still yield new species discoveries, and Northeast India remain a biodiversity hotspot with taxonomic gap. That is the essence of the topic. So try to attempt these questions based on this topic. We will now move on to the next. That is, India introduces EB4 business visa for Chinese nationals. This topic is important for GS paper to international relations. So India introduced korise at a new e-productive investment visa, business visa, juntu E shorted EB4 visa boli koa goise for Chinese business persons. Chinese business person or karne eta new visa introduce korise e-production investment visa. that enable them to travel to India for specific production and investment linked business activities. So business activities or karone Chinese business persons can travel to India for production and investment linked activities. Okay, and visa to ketiar pa effective hoise etu ami sale 1 January 2026 pa effective hoise at par as এক second as per an advisory issued by the Indian Embassy in Beijing. Visa diplomacy context India China people to people and business exchanges are severely restricted after that. Ami jano 2020 jonto border standoff hoisile tar pisor pa ki hoisile eta mane amar business exchange khini mane severely restrict kori dise bahut banu hoisile ami gom paun right ami khuni silo heto khomayot so heto time or pra mane strictly restricted since 2020 border standoff. So business visa for a Chinese national were subjected to stringent scrutiny, both scrutiny hoisile that caused delay, very much delay in industrial project. So etia kyo ahise? So etia because ami ki hoise we are renewing diplomatic engagement after high level talk on the sideline of the SCO summit. SCO summit je hol Shanghai Cooperation Organization ot hetur sideline ot ami etu diplomatic eta engagement ami renew weight mane ami koratu decide korise India. Tarpori commitment by PM Modi and President Xi Jinping to resolve boundary issue in a fair, reasonable and mutually acceptable manner. So our commitment to hoise PM Modi aru President Xi Jinping, Chinese President, their mazot je we will resolve the border issues in a fair, responsible and mutually acceptable manner. So hetu karone ami dekhisu lahe lahe enekwa initiative anise with China to improve our diplomatic relation with China. Recognition of the role of India-China economic ties in stabilizing global supply chain. So India-China economic ties or eta bahut dangor role thakibo to stabilize our global supply chain. Etia jehetuke tariff wars and geopolitical uncertainties ami dekhi asu US related, right? So hikini scenario amar etia India-China jodi economic ties to ami develop hoy tete it will stabilize global supply chain. A visa tour jodi ami key features saw visa type moi command di disu production investment business visa hoy eligibility Chinese business nationals khini karone akol application mode ekhine dia ase kiman days and all imani details are important no but dia asel karone moi di disu you can take a look permitted activities ki ase ekhine dia ase so iman important no from exams perspective so moi man details on na jao but I have given it. I will provide the PDF also in the comment section below. You can take a look. Okay, it is strategic and economic significance of the sound. It facilitates faster completion of manufacturing and industrial project and smooth functioning of supply chain where Chinese equipment components are involved. Then signals India's willingness to separate economic cooperation from political friction. Ebila ami answer writing ebila bostu use kobo paru ha. Diplomatic jodi saw confidence building measure in India-China relation. Obviously confidence build hobo China India-China relation to improve hobo. It is a part of border people-centric measure to normalize ties normalize koribo kane ties khini. It will also align with India's upcoming role as BRICS president in 2026 presidency amar thakibo. Eto mo bhulote ahi gese JS paper 11. This is not important. So that's it for this topic. Try to attempt these questions based on it. So let's move on to the next topic, that is US pressure on Latin America, Colombia, Mexico and Cuba under Trump. Kali ami already news to saisuluwe etia hetur continuation type ote ami aji paisu je USA to Latin America, Colombia, Mexico, Cuba under to pressure dise buli. This topic is important for JS paper 2 and JS paper 3, international relations and internal security point of view. So ami Venezuela khetrot kali ami news to paisilu, right? So eti ami saw following the capture of Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro. We have seen yesterday seneke Nicolas Maduro capture korile Venezuelan president হয় তেওঁ US President Donald Trump has issued strong warnings to Colombia and Mexico over their failure to curb the flow of illicit drug into the United States. So illicit drug or karone Venezuelan president ok teo capture korisile. Eta US President Donald Trump warning dise to Colombia and Mexico যে তেওঁলোকে ফেইল হৈছে যে illicit drug যে আহি আছে into United States হেতু curb কৰাত failure হোৱাৰ কাৰণে এটা warning হিচাপে Colombia and Mexico Donald Trump warn কৰিছে যে he will take actions. He also remarked that Cuba, a close ally of Venezuela, is economically vulnerable and may fall following Venezuela's collapse. So Cuba collapse hobo boli koise following Venezuela because it is economically vulnerable. Cuba kotha koise. So several countries including Spain, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico and Uruguay issued a joint statement condemning US action as a dangerous precedent threatening peace and regional security. So hetu eta US surge into action hetu eta dangerous action boli koise that will threat peace and regional security. Broader context or background jodi ami saw Monroe Doctrine to ami sabo laibo. Tetia ki hoisile USA under Monroe Doctrine in 1823 declare korisile as Latin America US or part hoy boli. Is a US sphere of influence boli declare korisile. Aro it warned external powers against intervention. So external power of intervent mane hetu khetrot mane involve hoto bisara nasile warn korisile that no can interfere. Though old, it continued to influence US strategic behavior. So etu behavior US ok still influence kore boli koa hoise. Their sphere of influence. New drivers of US intervention. Beyond the Monroe Doctrine, Trump approach is shaped by ideology, leftist government versus US interests, then drug trafficking, illegal immigration, strategic rivalries, domestic US politics. So Trump approach khine ekhini through di mane shape hoi thake. Country wise jodi ami analysis saw, okoman short ot ami sai loisu, iman besi details ot ami bulakot jabo na lage, but ami scenario to bujibo lage. Colombia important hai for US security ally hai, closest security ally in South America from last 25 years. Our US or largest trading partner hai, our major supplier hai of crude oil, coffee, roses, and designated major non-NATO ally hai since 2022. Core tension drugs issue too, and Colombia provides over 2/3 of global cocaine. And US funded war on drugs. Reduced insurgency and violence and failed to curb coca cultivation post 2030. So political shift, election of Gustavo Petro, tarpra ki hol moved away from US aligned policies, are opposed korile drug US strategy and was interested in BRICS Plus and broke ties with Israel. So recent flashpoint ito hoise je Colombia initially refused US deportation flight. Trump responded with threat of tariff cut. It's why to tension hoi ase. Cut in foreign assistance credit and military buildup in the Caribbean. And Petro condemned US action as Venezuela as an assault on Latin America sovereignty. So eto reason hoise eto Colombia khetrot ami dekha paisu eta ki issues choli ase. So next ahi Mexico khetrot they are economic interdependent to each other. Our US or largest trading partner hoy, trade value etu dia ase for 798 billion, governed by USMCA. Security challenge jodi ami saw 3,000 kilometer border, major source of undocumented migration and fentanyl trafficking, leading cause of US overdose etu issue. And Trump hardline measure jodi ami saw revival of border wall, tariff threat ase on Mexico, Canada and China, designation of 8 Latin American cartel as foreign terrorist organization. So it's a threat ki hoy of drone strike inside Mexico, US troop deployment. Mexican response jodi ami saw President Claudia Sheinbaum firmly rejected US military presence and asserted national sovereignty. So ami etu dekha palo Mexico khetrot hoi thaka ite issue to. Aru Cuba khetrot jodi ami saw historical hostility, Post 1957 Cuban Revolution হৈছিলে that overthrew US-backed Batista regime and it aligned with Soviet Union. USৰ response কি আছিলে? Economic embargo, Bay of Pigs invasion which failed, then designation as state sponsor of tourism. Then economic consequences কি আছিলে? GDP fell হৈ গৈছিল by 35% and heavily dependence on Venezuela, China and Russia thaw. And Obama era যদি আমি চাওঁ normalization হৈ গৈছিলে of ties 2008 পৰা 16 মাজত embassy reopening হল removal from terror list but Trumpৰ এৰিয়াত কি হল reimposition of sanctions and tourism restrictions আহি গল so terror sponsor redesignated হৈ গল so current crisis যদি আমি চাওঁ post 2020 GDP contract হৈছে inflation 24% হৈ গৈছে আৰু ট্ৰাম্পে ক্লেম কৰিছে যে Cuba will collapse after Maduro's removal and loss of subsidized Venezuelan oil আৰু কি international reaction যদি চাওঁ joint condemnation দিয়া হৈছে by Spain, Brazil, Chile and etc. US called US actions dangerously precedent threats to civilizations and destabilization for regional peace so hetu mane US ৰ actions kini bahut besike condemn korise aru ekhini issues choli ase ekhini state mane South American countries or logot so ami etu dekhi paisu it's a threat aru Trump's Latin American policy reflect a return to coercive hemispheric dominance where security concerns ideology and great power rivalry converge to challenge regional sovereignty so regional sovereignty ami dekhisu eta মানে এটা এনেকুৱা আমি chaotic environment situation আমি দেখিছো আৰু আগৰ টাইমলৈ আৰু chaotic হোৱাৰ চান্স আছে সো হেতু আমাৰ নিউজত আমি পাই আছো একেদিন সো তাৰ কাৰণে আমাৰ ইণ্ডিয়াৰ কাৰণে কি ইণ্ডিয়াৰ পাৰ্সপেক্টিভ পাও হেতু আমি অকমান ডিটেইলছৰ আৰু সাম আগলে কেনেকৈ আমাক এফেক্ট কৰিব পাৰে আমি কেনেকৈ এটো ফেস হ্যান্ডেল কৰিব লাগে এটা সিচুৱেচন আমি কেনেকৈ US ৰ লগত হক বেলেগ কান্ট্ৰিজ বিলাকৰ লগত হক এটা ডিপ্লোমেটিক ৰিলেশন মেইনটেইন কৰি থাকিব লাগে সো এটা যোনখিনি নিউজত আছে আমি এখিনি কভাৰ কৰি গৈছো উই উইল ষ্টে আপডেটেড সো ট্ৰাই টু অ্যাটেম্প দিস কোৱেশ্চন আমি জাস্ট গোটেইখিনি কান্ট্ৰিজৰ লগত কি কি ইস্যুজ হৈ আছে বা কি কি একশনস লৈ আছে USA মানে হেখিনি বস্তু আমি অলপ চাই ললো যেহেতু কি আমাৰ আৰ্টিকলছত আহিছিল আজি so try to attempt these questions let's move on to the next topic that is ICGS Samudra Pratap commissioned strengthening India's maritime and environmental security this topic is important for GS paper 2 and GS paper 3 so on January 5th 2026 Raksha Mantri Amar Rajnath Singh commissioned India's Coast Guard ship Samudra Pratap Amar India Coast Guard ship hoy Coast Guard or karne ship hoy Samudra Pratap that is India's first indigenously designed pollution control vessel built by Goa Shipyard Limited so amar Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh commission korile Indian Coast Guard ship Samudra Pratap junto hoise amar indigenously built pollution control vessel which is built by Goa Shipyard Limited. Aru etu largest ship hoise Indian Coast Guard or fleet and Coast Guard fleet or aru etu eta major milestone amar achieve korise in respect to Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense shipbuilding. Background ami saila Indian Coast Guard established under the Coast Guard Act 1978 multi-dimensional mandate maritime law enforcement research and rescue ki kore anti-smuggling and anti-piracy then marine pollution control then coastal security ekine bostu sai why pollution control vehicle matters vessel matter because amar 7500 kilometer plus coastline ase aru busy sea line of communication bahut busy thake right aru sensitive ecosystem coral reefs thake mangrove thake hekhini bostu ami control koratu bahut important hoy pollution control korile hekhini bostu jai thakibo right aru risks thake janike oil spill hoar risks thake chemical leak maritime accident heblak bahut hoy thake so international obligations ase under UNCLOS United Nations Convention for Laws of Seas and MARPOL convention heblakor khetroto amar important hoy je ami he protection khini rakhu bhalke so ICGS Samudra Pratapor key technical features kismano yat dia ase janeke it's a pollution control vehicle as I've said then displacement 4170 tons length kiman ase speed gotekhini moi di disu you can take a look iman details monot rakhilo na rakhilo hobo but just have a glance okay propulsion jodi sao, 7,500 kilowatt diesel engine, indigenously developed, controllable pitch propeller. Special capabilities kisumanu ase hekini moi di disu, মই পাইছো কাৰণে মই দি দিছো, ইমান মানে ডিটেইলছ মনত ৰাখিব নালাগে. Then strategic and policy significance চাই লওঁ আমি. আত্মনিৰ্ভৰ ভাৰত এণ্ড ডিফেন্সৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত বহুত ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট হয়, because it was built by Goa Shipyard Limited, আৰু it reflects maturity of India's defense industrial ecosystem. So আমাৰ কিমান ডেভেলপ হৈছে, কিমান মেচিউৰ হৈছে আমাৰ ডিফেন্স ইণ্ডাষ্ট্ৰিয়েল যোনটো ইক'চিষ্টেম আমাৰ ইণ্ডিয়াৰ, সেইটোক ৰিফ্লেক্ট কৰিছে বহুত ধুনীয়াকৈ. আৰু আমাৰ ইম্পৰ্ট কৰা ডিপেণ্ডেঞ্চিটো কমি গৈছে বহুত, ৰাইট? আমি সেল্ফ ডেভেলপড হৈছোঁ, আমি আত্মনিৰ্ভৰ হৈছোঁ. চ' আমাৰ ইম্পৰ্ট কৰা ডিপেণ্ডেঞ্চিটো বহুত কমি অহা আমি দেখা পাইছোঁ. আমি বহুত শক্তিশালী হৈ উঠিছোঁ ডিফেন্সৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতো. আৰু এনভাইৰমেণ্টেল ছিকিউৰিটি এণ্ড ব্লু ইকনমিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত it protects our fishery, coastal livelihood, marine biodiversity, আৰু it also ensures sustainability of the blue economy. Then maritime security ক্ষেত্ৰতো coastal patrolling to enhance কৰে, extended surveillance and crisis response in rough sea. Then it also reinforces India's grand maritime vision and responsible maritime power. India positions itself as a net security provider, guardian of Indo-Pacific stability, and it also aligns with Sagar Doctrine. Sagar Doctrine, that is security and growth for all Indo-regions. So, it's under to aligned hoi ase. Gender inclusion আমি দেখা পাইছো. 2 women officer appoint কৰা গৈছে as a frontline coast guard ship, আৰু এটা ৰিফ্লেক্ট কৰে আমাৰ জেন্ডাৰ নিউট্ৰেল ৱৰ্ক এনভাইৰনমেণ্টটো ৰিফ্লেক্ট কৰে, হাইলাইট কৰে, আমাৰ কেনেকৈ womenৰ ৰোলটো এক্সপাণ্ড হৈ আছে সেইটোও ধুনীয়াকৈ পোৰ্ট্ৰে কৰিছে. Women now serve as pilots, observers, ATC officers, law and logistic officers. So according to a statement by Raksha Mantri, India must move from platform-centric to intelligence-driven and integrated-centric force. So called platform-centric and how we should move towards intelligence-driven and integration-centric force. So intelligence থাকিব লাগে আৰু ইন্টিগ্ৰেশনৰে আমি ফোকাস কৰি পেলাই এটা ফোর্স দৰকাৰ হয়. আৰু marine protection is a strategic necessity and a moral responsibility. We know that, and ICG should evolve into a regional standard setter and global leader in maritime governance. So the commissioning of ICG as Samudra Pratap symbolizes India's shift towards self-reliant, environmentally conscious, and intelligence-driven maritime security, reinforcing its role as a responsible stakeholder in global commons. Okay, so that's it for this topic. Try to attempt these questions. One's MCQ and two mains questions. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next class. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.